of the memorable scenes in the movie is when I kick one of these nasty-looking Morlocks off the machine, and he disintegrates because I'm going the wrong way in time. Anyway, Gene's got the storyboard for this sequence. I'll let him tell you how they made it.
And these figures were wax created from molds made off of real bones and real skulls. And so that the process of the disintegration was a combination of frame by frame of scraping a little wax away maybe, and then with a heat, I think a hairdryer, gently here and there. A little tricky because this is the kind of thing you didn't want to goof on, have to do it again, because then you need a whole new set of things. You can't just put it all back together again very easily.
The time machine was made on a relatively low budget.
Whole picture was 800,000. And
750.
All right.
But it was fascinating entertainment. And it was a technical achievement because it earned Projects Unlimited an Academy Award. The time machine is supposed to go in two different directions, into the past or into the future. But this one had quite a different journey. It all started in 1970 when MGM held a public auction, and along with several other famous movie props from Forbidden Planet and Atlantis and others was the time machine. The auctioneers were never too excited about selling the time machine. It was just another old movie prop. Also, something was missing from the machine: the entire control panel. The special effects crew, Projects Unlimited, had sawn it off during the post-production of the movie to be used to shoot inserts to show the years rolling by on the panel. This was done by stop-frame animation, then with rear projections seen through the windows on the panel. Timing had to be right, because if I moved the lever forward too fast and the film wasn't in sync, then we had ourselves a problem. But I'll tell you who had the big problem: the auctioneers, because they didn't have a panel. They contacted Tom Sherman, a special effects man. He said he'd be happy to build a new panel. All he needed was the blueprints and about a week. Tom, nothing comes easy. They had no blueprints, and the auction was set for the next day. Well, Tom accepted the challenge. And by the following morning, he had built a new control panel. Made out of wood, pie tins, yes, painted pie tins on the sides, and Christmas tree lights on the top. What'll those special effects guys think of next, huh? Well, anyway, the machine sold for around $10,000, along with the submarine from Atlantis, which was also a George Pell movie. And the man who bought them loaded them into this huge moving van, and he traveled all over the country charging admission. The time machine had become part of a sideshow. There was another man at the auction called Bob Burns who wanted to buy the machine. Very good friend of George's. And he kept putting out feelers as to where the machine might be, because George had once told him he indeed would own the machine. There was George again, full of hope. But he was right. The man who bought it was forced to sell it. Well, there are all kinds of rumors that it was being sold in Florida for the second time, and it just disappeared for 3 years. Then two friends of Bob's in 1974 in Orange County walked into a thrift store. Do you believe this? A thrift store. I'll let Bob tell you about this.
Yeah, my friends did call me about it, and it was at this thrift store, all right. They said it wasn't in the best condition in the world. I mean, I was thrilled on one hand to know it existed at all, because I'd heard it was destroyed, who knows what, you know. And they said, well, there are things wrong with it, but we'll tell you later. And they did, they told me, and when I actually heard what was wrong with it, I was pretty depressed at the same time. The next step was to figure out how to get it from this thrift store. for a price that I could afford, and so I didn't have to pay, quote, Hollywood dollars for it, because that's the way these people seem to think when they find out what they are. The machine was in such bad shape when I got it. We weren't even too sure we could even put it back together, but we figured with the people we had who loved this film so much that they were volunteering their time to do it, and they knew we could do it. The pods were broken in very badly because the fella had used photo flood lights to light it up inside, and it just melted the plastic because it was just heat-formed plastic. All the pieces were there. It was broken, but they were there, laying around inside of it mainly. We had to take it and actually make another sort of mold, you might say, and heat form it again and try to get it back in some sort of shape, because it was actually wasn't even round anymore. Now, luckily for us, the non-camera side of the machine, the pod was pretty good, so we just exchanged it and put it over there. We still had work to do on it, too, because when we took both the pods off, they almost fell completely apart. They just didn't want to stay together anymore. And so then we stripped the rest of the machine down.